Okay, so this is day 2 of the wrap out. And to kind of play off of what yesterday was, I did indeed finish the application that I was submitting to, but I did not finish it last night. I finished it today. I was meant to finish it last night, and I honestly forgot what I did. Once I slammed the laptop shut, I did end up bringing it downstairs because I had to upload. Oh, there we go. That's what I ended up doing. I brought the laptop downstairs because I transferred the video footage over to my laptop, upload it, color it, get it on YouTube. What else did I do? Figure out what the caption and the title was going to be, create the thumbnail, all of the things. So there's something in my eye. Ugh. All the things that come with posting this content. And so after I finished that, then I didn't slam the laptop shut. I left the laptop open because I had to upload. So the laptop stayed open and I just kind of finished out the day. Thank God the application has this auto reminder where it tells you like, oh, you have, you still have time to get this application in before the end of the day. So it reminded me, and luckily enough, it was closing at 4 p.m., like 4:53 p.m. PST, and I am on EST, Eastern Standard Time. And so I told myself today I was going to get it done, but then like everything else in life, I got sidetracked and I ended up going to Lowe's to get paint with my little brother to help paint his apartment. And then that took all day, came home, finally finished it. And I still have some work to do today because obviously it didn't sound like there was any like of my business work that I got done because I didn't. I had a lot to do on the personal side today and then the filmmaking side. And when I finish filming this, while everything uploads, I will start to knock some stuff off of my to-do list. Not that I have to get it done today. There's still all week, all week this week for me to finish everything that I have to finish, but I'm just happy to get a couple of those things off of my to-do list. But I'm not gonna lie and act like today was, a super fun day. And I can't say like fun because I feel like fun is the wrong word. I can't act like today was the best day. And not because I'm sad. I think I was describing it to my brother in the perfect way where I'm not sad about anything. I'm not happy about anything. I feel the most meh that I have felt in a very long time. And I think it's simply because I don't want to live in America anymore. I don't. I don't want to live in America anymore. And traveling for a month and being able to truly feel like myself was a blessing and a curse. A blessing because I was so grateful I was able to do that, but a curse because now I feel so meh just being here. And the thing is like, again, I have plans. I know this is really just temporary, the amount of time I have left spending here in America. But every single day literally feels like, trekking along. I'm just not excited about anything. And that kind of sucks. Like, that kind of sucks. I want to be excited about things again. And I don't think I'm excited about anything or feel the same feelings that I had when I was abroad. I just don't. I just don't feel it. So honestly, I'm just taking it as motivation to kind of get everything I have to get done here in America before it's time for me to skedaddle. Uh, I'm laughing because I don't know if you guys have watched Funny AF on Netflix, but there was a joke where the guy was just like, I think it was on there. A guy was, I'm not even gonna say the joke because it won't be funny when I deliver it. Go watch Funny AF, and if you hear the word skedaddle, that's what I'm laughing at. So ultimately, I am just taking this meh feeling as motivation to do as much as I can, get done as much as I can get done while I'm here, so that I'm prepared for the next, phase of my journey. Because I'm in my 30s. This is crazy. This is crazy. Me, 30-year-old? What are you talking about? I was Shania in her 20s. Why am I Shania in her 30s? This is too... I don't want to get into that. Not yet. Not yet. But now that I'm 30, I feel like there is just like things that I can, not that I didn't feel like I could plan for before. I always felt like I can plan for these things, but now it feels like a good point to kind of like reset certain things. And that is what I am taking the remainder of this year to do, is to reset certain things, reset ideologies, reset behaviors, all of that, all of that. I made it to my walk today. I did not make it to the gym, but I did make it on my 5 mile walk. So every morning I try to walk 5 miles, which is, I live by the beach, which is literally walking to the very end of the boardwalk and back home. It's 2.5 miles each way. So that equals 5 miles. I did that this morning, and then I did an additional walk this afternoon. And then I went to the beach. I just actually got back from the beach. I went to the beach because I like to sing to the ocean. It is one, I'm a very spiritual person. You will learn that gradually, I guess. But I'm a very spiritual person. And one of the things that I do to like strengthen my connection to the universe and to the ocean, because I feel like the ocean and me are one. I feel like I am a bird, and the birds specifically that are, I'm probably like a piping plover, which are the birds that like stay right by the ocean. I feel like I'm that type of bird. I don't know. I'm between a bird and an elephant. Those are my spirit animals. I have an elephant here. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, it's a new tattoo, so it's a little dry. But I really feel like I'm a bird. So I went to the ocean, and I sang to the ocean just now because that usually like grounds me and makes me feel a lot better. And because I was having a very meh day, it felt like, proper timing to go over to the ocean and sing a little melody. And funny enough, so there was this girl on TikTok who has this series of like old songs that she's finding on her old iPod. And so whenever I come across one of her videos, I download it because she got some taste. That was my taste when her and she probably like me. But she just so happens to keep finding all my old jams. So today I put on one of the songs, and then it sent me down this whole rabbit hole of early 2000 songs, and I was so excited. So I sang those songs to the ocean today, and I feel like the ocean was very happy. But it was just a little too windy, so I had to come back home. Like I said, I live by the beach, so it's less than a minute walk for me to get there home, which is great. That's what I love about where I live in New York. So when I do move abroad, I will still have my place here in New York, so I can just come back to the beach in the summer times. In the fall. I'll be here in the fall too. I'll stay for some of the fall, and then once it starts getting too cold, I'm leaving, going back abroad. Either way, I honestly, one of the things that's been weighing heavily on me has been my filmmaking career. Let's dive into it, okay? Let's get into my filmmaking career, because that has been one of the things that have been weighing heavily on me. And funny enough, tomorrow I have my bi-weekly meeting with my producer to talk about my feature film, and the application I was filling out was for this program for another one of my feature films. So hopefully I get in. Crossing fingers. But my filmmaking career has been weighing heavy on me because there has been a huge shift in this industry. And I have always been the type of person who has felt like I am, and I say this completely humbly, like ahead of my time. And the reason I say that is because there's certain things that I do that have been added, that they get put on my heart, and I do them and I execute on them. And they're not like, I can't say that they're always like the most popular, whatever the case may be. But I know there's a lot of people, influential people, who watch me and follow me, right? Like I know a lot of people. And I'm very like, I don't know how to describe it. I'm very low key about it. Like I don't care about people's status. So the people that I know, that I'm just like, okay, cool. Like, okay, cool. Either way, I say this to say there's certain things that I do or certain things that I talk about that I notice trickle around me. And I'm not trying to say that I'm the originator of anything. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying there's certain things that I be up on and I'll execute on, and then people get up on it afterwards and they execute on it afterwards. And again, I'm not saying that they're getting it from me. I'm saying they just they have the same realizations I have, just a little later on. And so with that, one of those things has been the filmmaking landscape and where all of it is. And for a very long time, I was trying so hard to appease to Hollywood and, seek the validation of Hollywood and try to break into Hollywood and get recognized by these particular things, even though a lot of obviously a lot of people's roots, but a lot of the roots that I cherished came from independently executing on my projects. Right? Follow me here. And so with everything changing, like honestly post strike. So let's say when I went full time in my filmmaking career, when I left corporate, which was approximately like 3 years now. So 3 years ago, after when everything went on strike, I think everybody kind of had this idea, but people knew that the industry was changing, right? But I think people also expected there to be some form of a bounce back after that. But they didn't realize that that bounce back was not coming. And I think I kind of noticed, I was like, yeah, this bounce back is not coming. Even prior to the thought, like I didn't think there was going to be a bounce back. I think I knew from the time that it was happening that there was not going to be a bounce back. And I still believe that. I don't think there's going to be this Hollywood bounce back. And it's because things are shifting and things are changing and things are growing and things are developing, and we are not in the same times anymore. People are not consuming films the way that they used to. The people who are greenlighting certain projects in Hollywood do not have the judgment that they did before, quite honestly. But I think it's not even the judgment. I think it's this risk averse behavior because they're only greenlighting things that they have data on, and they're scared to take chances on other things. But what happened once before, because history repeats itself, when that was happening before, when there were a lot of the same type of projects that were coming out, and I'm not talking about the early 2000s, I'm talking about those mid 2000s, actually not the mid 2000s, right before the early 2000s, actually right before those early 2000s is when there was this like stagnation in the industry. And then what we started to see was a lot of new fresh projects coming out in the early 2000s, and that's when we got a lot of the bangers that we had. That is when we got the bangers. It wasn't until, honest, like if we're being honest, and maybe I'm biased because I'm black, but either way, if we're being honest, it was when people started taking a chance on black stories, and they started seeing in the 90s that black stories were actually performing. They said, okay, let's move away from black TV and the performance of black TV, and let's move into black film. Okay, if you don't believe me, look this up. Okay, so with that resurgence, or with that surgence of black films and projects being creative and successful, because not only were they creative and unique and like projects that did not mimic others, they were also successful. People started to take more chances. But as obviously post-COVID, things really just did not recover from that. And it's simply because people stopped going to the movies. Things started moving to streaming. They started moving to streaming faster than a lot of the people in the industry actually could keep up with. Like HBO Max is not even 10 years old. HBO Max is not even 8 years old. I believe it came out in 2020, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. But like, it's not an old thing, and it's because it came up on it late. Netflix, however, has been around for years. I remember being a kid and getting Netflix DVDs. Why do I remember that? Because I used to force my dad to make sure he saved the envelope so I could mail it back. And then sometimes he would lose the envelope because he didn't understand that you needed to mail it back. There's all these things. Either way, there was just a difference that we started to see in the industry that was moving faster than, respectfully, the old people in Hollywood that were making the decisions. Simple as that. And with all of that, I say all of this to say that currently people are now getting hip to the fact that we are not getting that bounce back. And it's not coming back. It's not going back to us trying to appease to Hollywood. Low key, I feel like that also came from an elitist type of personality. Like there was a certain elitism that people would feel if they actually had access to Hollywood. And so them wanting that bounce back is also, they're tied to this elitism, which I understand where the elitism comes from in the industry, in the filmmaking industry. But sometimes it can be harmful, especially to up and coming filmmakers who actually have a voice and are qualified and ready for that next stage. Like it's just elite. It's another barrier. And it usually affects the disenfranchised and the people who come from marginalized communities more than it does anybody else. So I'm always for removing certain gates and gatekeepers. With all of that, the bounce back isn't coming. People are getting hip to it. And so what are they doing? Currently, they are scrambling to try to figure out what else they can offer to the world outside of, I can get this project sold, because the landscape of distribution is changing. It is absolutely positively changing, which is why on Onset Talk, which is my TikTok page, if you haven't gone and checked it out yet, go ahead and check it out. I talk about a lot of film education and where things are going in this industry. And I think what we're seeing currently is people getting scared and trying to pivot because they're realizing that distribution is not the same that it was before. Getting distributed is the number one way to make a profit off of your art and off of your films and off of your projects as a filmmaker. It's distribution. That is the main way. So with distribution looking differently and distribution now being put into the hands of people who are actually creating the projects and no longer waiting to distribute their projects by some way getting past that gate and getting to the studios and getting to the production companies and getting to the networks and getting to the streaming platforms and being able to sell their project just for it to see the world, people don't want to jump through those hoops anymore. And honestly, those hoops aren't as valuable as they used to be because, again, people are changing the way that they're consuming this art form. So they're self-distributing. There's a lot of people self-distributing. There's a lot of people who are doing consultations. There are a lot of people who are doing trainings, film education, all of those things. Because they're realizing that, okay, I cannot bank on the fact that I know so-and-so at So Network, because that person probably also got laid off. But either way, they cannot bank on the fact that I know so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so and Bill, Bob, Jane, Jack, Jill, who all these people who used to help them get their project through the door to sell it, they don't know them anymore. Or that person doesn't hold weight anymore. Or those same people that person's friend would take their script to or take their project to and sit down at a table and say, hey, look at this project of this person that I know. Those people that sitting around those table, that they don't care who's attached to it. That's all that matters. Who's attached to it? Is it an adaptation? How many books did that adaptation sell? Who's the person? Who's the subject matter? Does it already have an audience? If those are questions that cannot be answered, it is going to be very hard for you to sell a project these days. But again, that doesn't mean that your project isn't valuable, nor does it mean that that project isn't good. What it means is that you need to now find a different way to distribute your project. Now, there are certain platforms that have an easier in right now, and it's the ones that are coming up. Think about the people who were early to Netflix, early to distributing their projects on Netflix, early to distributing their projects on Hulu, early to distributing their projects on Amazon Prime Video. Yeah, because even though Amazon was a big thing, it's big in e-commerce, it wasn't big in film. Amazon Prime Video, the only reason it blew up as quickly as it did is because of money. It's because of capital. They were able to pay and produce and buy the rights to projects that they can amplify with money. Projects that were exclusive to their platform. They utilize a lot of celebrity. They utilize a lot of marketing. They also made partnership deals so that they can get the streaming distribution for projects that were going to theaters. Hello, this is business, people. This is all business. So, distribution is changing. With the change of distribution comes a surgence of new platforms that are making distribution easy. Not only are they making distribution easy, if they follow the same model that has been tried and true, such as Netflix, Amazon Prime, HBO Max, Hulu. HBO Max followed Netflix. Everybody, every streaming platform followed Netflix. Okay? They followed Netflix. Netflix is the pioneer. Flat out. All of these streaming platforms followed. And just because they followed and they were successful does not mean that somebody else now cannot follow and be successful. Tubi. As much as people like to crap on Tubi, I am preaching and I'm telling everyone, Tubi is going to be as big as Netflix. If you don't believe me, watch this video in a couple of years and know that Shania Banton said it first. Tubi is going to be as big as Netflix. Mubi, M-U-B-I, Mubi, the same thing that's behind Lurker, the same streaming platform that's behind The Substance, is going to be as big as Netflix. There are more. There's like one called Black, but there's more. There are other streaming platforms who are not as big yet, but are on their way. And they're going to be as big as Netflix. And right now, People who are mid-career, and mid-career, let's say, is anywhere between 7 and 25 years. 7 and 20 years. Let's say 7 and 20 years, consider yourself mid-career. The only reason I know this is because I just did an application and that is exactly how they broke it down. So I was like, yes, I'm mid-career, right? Okay. Been in this for 12 years, mid-career. So people who are mid-career, it is now your time to stop trying to move to the Netflixes, stop trying to move to the HBO Max, stop trying to move to all of those other platforms and focus your attention on Mubi, Tubi, and other streaming platforms that have yet to be as big as those guys. Okay? Because those guys are already in Hollywood. They're locked in. The gates are up. The gates are up. It is going to be a little difficult for them. Hold on. Make sure I'm focused. Okay, I'm focused. It's going to be a little harder for them to, it's going to be a little harder for you, to break into those lanes. Instead, focus on the up and comers because you too are an up and comer. Okay? Don't let the people who like to crap on Tubi trick you out of your spot. Don't let the people who like to crap on Tubi trick you out of your spot. Because there's nothing wrong with Tubi. If you watch an actual Tubi and Tubi produced project, you will see that they make good projects. They do. Okay? Tubi originals are actually good. They do, however, like they should, allow independent projects to be put up on their platform. It's fair. No, they don't do quality checks. Fine. Neither does YouTube. But you're able to weed through that mess. So do the same thing with Tubi. The only difference is at least people are here to distribute stories, distribute more than just content. They're not content. YouTube is for content. Tubi is for actual stories. So does the story align with you or not? And also, in case you didn't know, if you're not old enough, Netflix also had really crappy projects when they first started. Because I don't know if you know, people weren't distributing on Netflix because they didn't know what it was yet. You think they gave Something About Mary to Netflix back then when Something About Mary was a thing? No, they didn't know what Netflix was. Why would they say, yes, you can license my project and put it on your platform when they don't know who you are yet, Netflix? So yes, Netflix did have crappy projects on there. I used to watch them. And now they have quality checks. There's a standard they set because they're now Hollywood. Hello. So I feel like I got into this rant because I was actually talking about my film career. But either way, this new resurgence, all of these things that are currently happening within the film industry has been weighing on me as I think about my film career. Because if you don't know, I'm currently in development for my first feature film. And sometimes, if I'm being very transparent, I get very self-conscious about creating it and getting it done and getting the financing because sometimes I feel like I'm not necessarily qualified to make a feature film. There, I said it. I ripped the Band-Aid off. And which is a crazy thing to think because I've done multiple short films. I've produced it, directed it, written it, done multiple series, sold series, written for television. Like I've done a lot. So for me to still have this imposter syndrome and self-doubt when it comes down to getting my feature film done, really just comes down to me feeling, sometimes honestly me feeling the elitism from certain people. Now there's this very, very particular demographic that I usually feel it from. Very, very particular. I know it's not white people. Shockingly. Not shockingly. If you know, you know. But there's a very specific demographic that I usually feel likes to hold status above people. And I don't always respect that. And I can't say that it doesn't get to me. It does, because I do have trauma from when I was early in this. And I felt that too. And it was like my first time feeling that because I was so confident. So to be up here and have people literally actively try to keep knocking you down certain notches, it sits with you. You know, like it affects you. So every time I experience it now, even though I'm still confident now, even more than before, it still gets to me. So whenever I experience that, it does make me feel like, oh, maybe I am not qualified to make my first feature film. I want to set the record straight and say that obviously none of that is true. I am very qualified to make my first feature film, and I'm going to make my first feature film, and I'm going to make it independently, and it's going to be amazing, and it's going to sell. So I'm happy about that. I know that's going to happen. but it doesn't take away the feelings and the doubt that I sometimes have to tackle on a day to day and think about on a day to day and say like, okay, taking, more steps forward to get this project done, to make this project. Yeah, there's no sauce or advice I can give anybody to rid themselves of doubt. It's gonna be normal. Honestly, even when you get on set, you're gonna start doubting things. I've been on commercial sets I've been hired for, and everybody's looking at me, fully believing in me, and I'm still sitting there doubting myself. It happens. There's no getting rid of it. There's the only thing to actually do to tackle it, at least for me, is to just keep going forward. Like that's the only thing I can do. And it's like, okay, you feeling doubtful? Great. What else do I have to do today? How else can I show up today? What else is on my to-do list? That's really what I do. So my film career, you know what? You know what else has been adding to that, to the weight of my film career? The fact that I get a lot of no's, which is normal. Like I'm used to the no's, but it never not, it always adds to doubt. Okay. It never reduces the doubt. It always adds to it. Always. Even when you feel like something is your best, you will still get a no from somebody somewhere about it. You will still get something. And you're always going to get more no's than you get yeses. And I think sometimes I just sit down and I'm just like, I just need a yes. I just need one yes. Like, could I just get a yes from something somewhere? And so when I don't get it for a long amount of time, I'm just like, I'm in the season of no's. And whenever you're in those seasons of no's, what you should do is say yes to yourself and treat yourself and go out and buy you something. No, I'm kidding. Take a vacation. Maybe, perhaps. I don't know. Find other ways to gratify yourself. Find other ways to make yourself feel celebrated, feel accepted, feel like you got a win or a yes. I think a lot of the times our gratification is so external and we want to get into that program. We want to get into that film festival. We want to, get this press article. We want this person to say yes to collaborate with us. We want all these yeses from all of these external things. But if we were to set more gratification internally, then we can kind of have a balance, right? What does internal gratification look like? Internal gratification looks like, can I go to the beach today and sing to the ocean? Yes. Can I just slam my laptop shut? Yes. What can you say yes to in your life? Can I have a little sweet treat today and have a little cheat day? Yes. Even though you shouldn't, but yes. Those are ways that you can kind of set some internal gratifications. Is that internal? Is that internal? I feel like it's internal. I don't know. It's just ways that I can make myself happy when everything else externally is kind of saying no. So there's that. Honestly, this felt good. This felt good to kind of rant about all of my feelings very candidly. But now I think I'm ready to just like call it a day. I'm really ready to wrap it up. I'm ready to wrap it out. Day 2 of the wrap out. I'll be back tomorrow. Let's see how the day goes then.